Man, it has been a challenge getting this video up, but let me tell you, this copyright strike from Toei has been kicking my ass. But I think I figured out a compromise in a way when doing this video. So first things first, my original video for this was around 40 something minutes long, and I'll admit, it was very reference heavy just because with my reviews, I like to show and not tell. I like to be able to reinforce why I feel the way I feel, and I like to provide reference for it. And especially with reviews, it's very easy to be seen as biased or nitpicky or over-exaggerated when you don't provide appropriate context to why you feel the way you feel about something. And unfortunately, when dealing with Toei, it seems like it's very dependent on how much you show of a particular episode or a particular scene. And even music, that's been another big thing. I did confirm that the background music that was playing during scenes were it played a very key role in the copyright takedown that I received and the copyright strike that I received for my channel. And as you might know, if you get 3 copyright strikes, you're out. Your channel just gets obliterated into nothingness. But anyways, I don't want to talk too much about that. The original video was very interactive. I was pointing everywhere. I was trying to keep you engaged. But this retake, I am taking a different approach. I'm going to just talk instead of staring at a lens for 30 minutes. But this go around, I want to just focus on the review. I don't want it to be too overwhelming. So this time I'm going to shut off the camera, going to just have my standard graphic up with the particle background that I've been doing for over 2 years now. But so of course, if you guys don't like that format, let me know and I'll bring the camera back. But I think this is going to be the best way for me to stay focused and keep the video clean. Because if you might have already noticed, there are a lot of chops during this video. And the reason for that is I stutter a lot and uncontrollably. So the way that I remove those is very carefully cutting around those stutters so I don't look too silly when I'm talking or when I'm doing reviews, because, it's just an insecurity that I have, admittedly. But anyways, now that the explanation's out of the way, thanks for your patience. Let's jump straight into the review and get straight into the East Blue Saga. So you never know what you're really in for when you start a show, especially one as long as One Piece. But let me be completely honest, I was not expecting to be so invested so quickly. I don't know, it feels like, especially with longer intended works like this, in most cases, you get slower / rockier starts because you don't know exactly what you want your show or story to be like yet. However, I feel like One Piece is one of those rare cases in which they establish themselves very early on and you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. I guess to be fair, unlike maybe a lot of One Piece fans, I have the luxury of seeing how many episodes of One Piece currently exist. It's just like, whoa, we're really getting started here, huh? But anyway, I just started One Piece and I finally finished the first 61 episodes, which is the East Blue Saga. And wow, I will definitely say that I had my doubts coming into something that aired when I was 4, but all things considered, this was actually really good. Normally when I go into long-running shows, I don't expect too much right away, mainly because you need to establish the world that you're in before you really dive into what the anime is about. But y'all, it's so funny because within the first minute and a half, in the literal first episode, you learn the premise.
富、名声、力、この世の全てを手に入れた男、海賊王ゴールド・ロジャー。彼の死に際に放った一言は人々を海へ駆り立てた。
俺の財宝か？欲しけりゃくれてやる。探せ。この世の全てをそこに置いてきた。
But now let's talk about the characters and episodes themselves. Okay, so I am really liking our crew so far. I think the only one that I still have to warm up to is probably Usopp. Though I found that reason ironic simply because of the fact that the most realistic person in the anime is also the person I find the most annoying. I mean, seriously, out of all the Straw Hat Pirates, I think we all can agree that Usopp would be most of us to some degree. But now as for the person I am most invested in right now, it's Zoro. Maybe this is a lot of people's answers as well, but ever since meeting this guy, he's been absolutely amazing. In addition to the present day adult Zoro, I actually really enjoyed his reminiscence episode that ventured back to his childhood and the promise he made to his late friend.
約束しろよ。いつか必ず俺かお前が世界一の剣豪になるんだ。どっちがなれるか競争するんだ。バカ野郎、弱いくせにさ。約束だ。
For me personally, I think my interest in Zoro lies behind the fact that so early on we see how outclassed he is by someone who he aims to beat one day.
約束の時が
That being my hawk. This is shonen, so when I first saw that fight, I wasn't really worried about Zoro at first because why would I? Especially in early shonen, normally the one with the most determination wins. However,
そらやる兄貴二度と負けねえか大健康になる日まで絶対にもう俺は負けねえ海賊王
Obviously, Luffy's goal of becoming Pirate King is what steers the series, but for me, Zoro's running with my hawk is the first instance where I found someone with a clear brick wall in front of them. The person we were introduced to as being known as the Pirate Hunter, who is feared by so many, has now been shown as just as inept when going against someone also notoriously known for being strong. With absolute haste, my hawk proves why he is known as the strongest swordsman in the world. And with Zoro witnessing this firsthand so early on in the series, it just catapulted my interest in seeing how he develops over time. And goddamn, I know I'm still early within the series, but just knowing that he has the ability to reach the potential of Mihawk's skill one day and claiming the title of strongest swordsman in the world will absolutely have me obsessed with Zoro for even hundreds of episodes to come.
お嬢さん、私と踊っていただけますか?
Okay, now the next person I want to talk about is Nami. And yes, I realize I haven't really talked about Luffy yet, but I will get to him, I promise. I'll admit that I feel like I'm selling Nami short sometimes and also might even be underestimating her. I definitely got that feeling once we got her backstory and visited her home back in Kokoyasi Village during the Arlong arc. We already knew she was smart, but the fact that even when she was a child, she had the potential of being a navigator and drew her own maps kinda left me wide-eyed. She might not be as combat versed as the other Straw Hats, or at least not yet, but I don't think that means that she's disposable or useless. Honestly, without her, I wonder how far they would have even gotten.
私にはちょっと高いみたい。
もちろんタダで
ありがとう。
お前ら払えよ
So segueing from Nami, it only feels right to talk about Sanji next. Honestly, if Zoro didn't exist, he'd probably be my favorite of the Straw Hats. I don't know, I just love this guy. I love his combat style, I love his attitude, I love his sense of humor, and above all else, god damn, he makes me hungry every time I see him cooking. I found his background especially interesting, seeing how he grew up serving and cooking on a ship whose entire purpose was to feed people exclusively on the ocean. But I will admit, when I first met him, I wasn't sure how important he'd be right off the bat, but I think the moment I changed my mind was once Don Krieg and his crew arrived. And yes, I know it's still early, but I do want to know more about his upbringing. Well, more so his actual family before Verity, but I'll be patient. I'm sure somewhere within this 1,000 plus episode series we'll get more information on him, so I'm not going to worry about it too much right now.
お前何食べてる吐け今すぐ吐け貴様ら全部
Alright Luffy, your turn. As far as main characters go in Shonen, I see why he's so easy for a lot of people to understand and root for so quickly. He's an incredibly simple character that many people can understand if they just take what's given to them at face value. And no, this is not a bad thing. Not every story requires a main character who's an ongoing mystery that you have to spend all series trying to understand. And again, for like the millionth time, I understand that I'm still early within the anime, so this might change obviously. But for now, I like Luffy's simplicity and the fact that anyone can understand him. And I also like his straightforwardness so far throughout the series. He genuinely feels like an open book. If he wants something, he says it. If he doesn't like something, it shows. Luffy, in the early stages of this anime anyway, isn't this mound of complex emotions and mixed ideologies that makes you question why he thinks or acts the way he does. Luffy as a character, I feel, is as honest as they come. And honestly, I like that about him. Okay, now let's talk about the impact the villains have had on our characters so far, because this component is insanely important for shonen. or honestly any genre that relies on villains to test or gauge main characters' strength, sense of self, morality, etc. Right now, I'm loving the villains that we're meeting so far. I mean, we literally kick off the story with the villain as we meet Alvida, Kobe's captain at the time. And I love you, Kobe, but I don't want to talk about you right now, so we're going to skip over that. What I want to talk about is Alvida's return that occurred 50 episodes later that showed her transformation once she ate the devil fruit. First off, I'd never expected to see her again after the first encounter with Luffy. And I mean never. Normally when you are dealing with an introductory villain, that's more so to give you a sensible scale of power that currently exists in the story. Possibilities and shit that gets you ready for the quote-unquote real villains or stronger villains we meet along the way. However, Alvida did something that I didn't expect her to do. She came back. And then that's when the realm of possibilities opened up for me. Because if the writer is prepared to even develop introductory villains to make them stronger as time passes, that means they can also learn from their mistakes and get stronger just like our main characters can. And that is huge. A lot of people don't notice this, but it's very rare to have development in villains. One, because as a writer, it can be difficult to keep up with every character you create. This is why in a lot of anime or just television in general, the villain actually dies in the end and you move on. Or alternatively, they change their ways and they turn themselves in and we just never see them again. So when I came into One Piece, I expected something like that to happen because with a show this large, a lot of people wouldn't expect to see development from an early character used to introduce you to the world and the individual strength of some One Piece captains. But anyways, sorry, I'm rambling. Long story short, I love how this opens doors to villains getting their own development and that they're also given the right to get stronger. It shows that main characters aren't the only ones being thought about, and I like that. Okay, moving on. Favorite villain so far. It's probably way too early for me to say this, but I really like Arlong. I think what made me like him so much as a villain is his actual connection with one of our main characters, Nami. First off, it was a smart way to get us to learn more about her upbringing and her personal motives at this stage of the story. And I'll say it now if I didn't say it earlier. Out of the 5 or 6 arcs that are in the East Blue Saga, this is my favorite. I'm a sucker for sentiment with a mix of revenge element. That's also why I'm enjoying Villain Saga so much right now. But in the Arlong arc, there's more to it than just sentiment and revenge. In this arc, we're following a girl who's made it her goal to buy back her village from the man who took it from her, as well as her mother. And I'll admit that Nami isn't my favorite character, but this arc absolutely made me respect her a hell of a lot more than I did going into this. In the beginning, we saw her as a kleptomaniac obsessed with money, but it's not until 30-something episodes later that we learn why she's so driven by money. But yeah, I like how One Piece doesn't rush explaining why every character is the way they are. Pacing information is always good, especially when you're dealing with a long show. It makes the characters feel more three-dimensional instead of rushing their backstory for the sake of getting back to the main story, if that makes sense. And on the topic of characters, I am sad. This is like completely on me since I reacted to all the openings, but I am so sad that we didn't meet either of the characters I am most interested in seeing. And that's Chopper and Robin. Obviously, I know I can't expect to meet them all right away, but God, I'm ready to see those two. I have so many questions about Robin's abilities, especially now that I know about devil fruits and what they can do to people. And that's actually what I want to talk about next. The devil fruits are insane. So from my understanding, every devil fruit is different from the other, which means every person you meet will have their own unique ability. And I'll admit now that I made it into a game trying to predict the name of these devil fruits, because some of them are so predictable, but also to that point, they don't need to be super elaborate. Especially as time passes, the simpler the name, the better. It just makes it easier to remember. But now to speak on the abilities the devil fruit allows its consumers to possess, I actually like its versatility and how people incorporate it into their unique fighting styles. Honestly, right now, I think my favorite devil fruit user is probably Smoker. Not only do I like how practical his smoke fruit is, I also like how smart he is with it. It's already not easy fighting someone who can turn their physical body into smoke to avoid physical damage, but match that up with someone who has actual combat experience? Smoker is trouble, but I cannot wait to see more of that guy. So we've only seen what, like 3 people who ate a devil fruit as of right now? And it makes me curious how many more of these devil fruit bearers we're going to meet throughout the story. I can only imagine how insane some of these abilities are going to get. But of course, let's not get ahead of myself. Let's only focus on the arcs that I have watched so far. So if I did have to rank the arcs that I've watched so far, and I am putting myself on the spot here, but it would be, at number 5, the Romance Dawn arc, which is just episodes 1 through 4. This one's literally just last because of the fact that it's just the introduction to the story, and it's only 4 episodes long. It's definitely not a bad start to an anime or manga. It does its job of getting you invested, and that's all it needs to do, so yeah. Number 4, the Logtown arc. This covers episodes 45 and 48 through 53 or something like that. Honestly, for me, this could also be ranked 3. The only reason it's not is because this one felt a little bit more open-ended, and I think they did it on purpose, strictly because it was used mostly as Smoker's introduction, Alvida's new appearance after eating the smooth fruit, I think it was called, and also Buggy's return. But even after all of that, I think the highlight for me was Luffy finally receiving his first bounty. But yeah, overall, it was still a good arc. Number 3 is the Syrup Village arc. That covers episodes 9 through 18. Okay, I'll say, I didn't like this arc right away, because even now it has taken some time to get used to Usopp. However, at the same time, I love the sentiment behind this arc. A liar becoming an unexpected asset, and of course, we acquired the Going Merry as a goodbye gift from Kaya. It's sweet, and the fact that we have it 43 episodes later and not assumed for even much longer really is a nice thing to think about. Number 2, the Barity arc, which covers episodes 19 through 30. This is my rank 2 for 3 reasons. The first thing being the fact that we get 2 key introductions, Sanji and Mihawk, 2 characters I fell in love with near instantly upon meeting them. The second reason is Zoro meets his match, or I guess to better put it, his brick wall. As it currently is, the renowned pirate hunter is nowhere near the level of the strongest swordsman in the world, and with this revelation fuels Zoro's determination to get stronger in hopes to one day beating him and claiming the title no matter how long it might take. And that right there was actually my third reason. And number 1, the Arlong Park arc, covering episodes 31 through 44. And this was my rank 1 for 2 reasons. The first being I like how Arlong is directly involved with one of the main characters to the point where we are led to believe she is still to some degree loyal to him. And for the second reason, I like that we were able to dive deeper into Nami's character. I like the feeling of getting to know your characters on a personal level. Simply put, it just makes me care more. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end the video here since I don't want to risk getting copyright strike if I add too much footage. But overall, I'm having a great time with the story, and it really is something that it took me well over 20 years to actually give One Piece a chance. I feel so embarrassed, but you know what? I'm glad that I did start it, and I can't wait to see what other insane stuff that I'm going to run into while watching One Piece. And seeing how well this video does, I might actually consider doing the other sagas as well that covers the other arcs of One Piece. I don't really mind this format, it's just now I need to understand exactly what is allowed on YouTube by Toei standards and what isn't allowed on YouTube by Toei standards. But that's just something I'll figure out behind the scenes. But of course, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next video. Subscribe.